have a drawing tablet so you can't animate? Well, have you ever thought about animating in Google Calendar? That's right. In today's art challenge, I will be creating an animation using Google Calendar and having a professional animator react at the end. I've been drawing for years using a tablet. Let's see how I do with Google Calendar. So how does this even work? When you use Google Calendar, you can set blocks in your schedule for meetings, events, whatever you want. They look like rectangles. You can even set multiple events at the same time and change the color of events, manipulating the appearance of the rectangles. If you arrange them in a certain way, you can make blocky works of art. Do this across multiple weeks or months, you can make an animation. I first got this idea when I saw this TikTok that used Google Calendar for a walking animation. But when I started experimenting, I realized that the TikTok wasn't done entirely through Calendar, as some of the blocks were drawn on. For my animation, I wanted every shape to be done through Google Calendar, no art software needed. Since this was such an unfamiliar medium, I had no idea what my animation should even be. I've barely animated as is, so I started thinking about some fun ideas. I even made the first frame of this Flappy Bird animation, but one big limitation is that the rectangles can't be rotated, which I would have had to do for Flappy Bird. I had to keep shading blocky and simple because of the limitations of Google Calendar. I also tried making a matchstick being lit, but I quickly realized that would not work. Finally, I decided on having an animal walk, as I thought it would be playful, and animal anatomy would be easier than human anatomy. I looked at pixel art animations as a guide for how it could look. Ducks are easy because they have a pretty simple shape and can be one color. Thus, I wanted to have a duck walking through nature. In case you're on the same level of crazy as me and want to recreate this, let me walk you through the process. Google Calendar has default colors, but on the left side, you can create different types of calendars. Usually these are used as categories in your life, like your work calendar, your social calendar, a calendar you use for birthdays. But for this, I use them to create custom colors. Every calendar has a color assigned to it, and you can set that color to be anything. That's how I made the color palette. Orange for the beak and legs, yellow for the body, dark yellow for the wings, green for grass, blue for a cloud, black for the eyes, and white. When you create an event and set it to that calendar, the block will be that corresponding color. Now let's make the first frame. When you add an event to your calendar, you can change its length depending on how long it lasts. A longer event is a longer rectangle, but when you add multiple events at the same time, you can change the width too. If you look at how the bird's body comes out only a bit, it's because I added 2 white events and 1 yellow event that happen at the same time. Each event takes up 1/3 of that day's space. The blocks become more narrow the more events are added at the same time. You can also add shorter events on top of longer events to do a line art, which is what I did for the wing. I combined the methods of layering events and setting them at different times to make the eye and the legs. I also added a blue cloud in the background to create a sense of movement. With each frame, the cloud would move across the sky. Once I was happy with the first frame, I took a screenshot. I then went into each event and set it to a weekly cadence. That way, when I went to the next week, it would be a copy of the first frame. The duck animation was simple, as most of it was leg movement and the body bobbing up and down. Now on frame 2, I changed the leg and body positioning. Since all the events now appeared every week, I answered whether the event I was changing should stay changed for the rest of the frames. Essentially, I had to decide whether I was editing the current event or the current and following events. For this, I had to look at the following frames. I repeated this process for 8 frames, taking a screenshot each week. I put each frame in my video editing software, with every frame being about 1/4 of a second. Immediately, I could tell something was off, so I watched the animation closely to see which parts needed refinement. Since Google Calendar is not meant for animation, I ended up having to redo half of the frames. If you look at the animation at this point, you can see text written on each event, no title and the time. This is where I admittedly did use a drawing application, but I only used it to erase the text. You could easily do this in Microsoft Paint, just color match the rectangle and paint over. I re-exported every frame, put it back into my video editing software, and added sound effects to add more realism. Ta-da! This whole process took around 5 hours, which really isn't bad if you consider that a couple hours were spent on just learning how to do it. I'm honestly quite amazed at how polished this turned out. I am not an animator, just an artist, and I was able to use Google Calendar to make a pretty legit animation. What's next? A movie made in Google Calendar? K-pop Demon Hunters Google Calendar edition? And now, time for a professional animator to react. Let's see what he thinks.
Hello, it's me, Carrie. My friend Emily just told me she created an animation with Google Calendar, and I'm like, what? Google Calendar's not an animation software. Let's take a look. Oh my god, okay, so I love the chirping sounds, and this walk cycle, it's like I can see the duck jiggling up and down, and it's going between October, November, and December, so like this is like over the course of 3 months as the duck is walking. It's like one step every couple of weeks. But I just love how you can see the clouds moving by in the back. But yeah, like I feel like this is sort of like the Interstellar movie when what's his name, like Murph's dad is like in the spaceship and like time is like just zipping by really fast. Like it's like watching these dates go by. It's like Monday, the 3rd, the 27th, the 8th, the 13th, the 27th, the 10th. It's like oh my god, time is going by at 1,000 times normal rate, and the duck is just walking, quack quack, quack quack. You know, I love how the eye and the beak, you know, they're very stable, you know, there's no body parts falling off, you know, very stable body. It's a really well-made animation. I think it's a good commentary on the way that time feels like it's passing. Ducks have very short lifespans, so it's probably about to die. That's okay though, because we can use the feathers for a really nice pillow. Sorry, PETA. Don't come at me for saying that. Whose birds do they use for pillows? Is it chickens or is it like peacocks? I don't know.
Emily here. I looked it up and it is apparently domestic ducks and geese.
But either way, Duck, it was very nice to meet you. I hope to see you again someday. Anyway, thank you for watching Emily's video. You really need to subscribe to Sondering Emily. She's almost at 100,000 subscribers, and the fact she isn't is criminal. So get that number higher, like immediately.
Please listen to Carrie. I am trying to reach 100,000 subscribers on this YouTube channel, so please hit that button if you'd like to see even more crazy art challenges and game development in the future. Let me know what art or tech challenge I should be doing next. By the way, I'm making a horror game that you should totally check out, Lily's World XD. You investigate a young girl's computer. Everything seems normal until you find messages addressed to you. Dun dun dun! Join my free newsletter where I give behind the scenes of my game development. Follow me on my other socials and subscribe. I will see you in the next one.